God, I love this street.
Is this Fear Street?
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Cheap Seat Critics Podcast, where today we are covering The Burbs with the start of our new season. Curious if you guys will pick up on the theme of it based off our avatars on the visual side of things. With us today, we have...
Hello, everybody. I'm one of your hosts, the Geeky Writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks. And hey, if you're listening from the cul-de-sac, you can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Blue Ski, Twitter. We have a LetterBoxd where we have our numbers and graphs of whatever it is we have covered up to the point. We also have visual side of things on YouTube and Rumble. And we got audio platforms wherever you could be listening to from right now. Boom.
All right, with that, let's go straight into our histories, starting with Sprinks.
Cool. Okay, I'll comply and go into history first, but I do have a question to bring up after. So with The Burbs, I have heard of this movie multiple times. This is my first time I've ever actually seen it from beginning to end. This movie I've seen the most, not scene-wise, but I've seen this in those bargain bins at Walmart's or back in the day at Best Buy's where it would be like $5 for a movie and you reach in and Burbs would probably be one of those you pull out. That's about it. I didn't know the premise of this movie other than Burbs is short for suburban. And from the box art and the poster, it looks like, oh no, something's going on. There's like tomfoolery about. That's it.
You're blowing my mind right now. I had no idea you hadn't seen this movie. Wow. I'm glad I didn't spoil anything at some point in history. And you had a question, you said?
Yes, my overall thing is for this season, how much do we give away to the audience?
I think we can give it away if you want.
Writer?
And maybe when we're a few episodes in and it's obvious, I think the audience will pick up on it.
Okay.
Two differing opinions. I guess you're the tiebreaker, Sprinks.
Cool. Audience, we'll let you know on episode 3.
There you go, if you haven't picked it up. All right, with that, let's jump with me. I'll say my histories. So, my family has a DVD shelf full of movies. And when I was a kid, I looked through them, and I looked at this one and looked at the cover. I'm like, this is a scary movie. I'm never going to watch this. And then my parents were like, it's not that scary. You can watch it. And I was probably 8-9 range, I would guess. I'm like, no,
cover the movie look like?
Movie. It's not a scary cover, really.
It's Tom Hanks standing in the middle of a street with a hose.
With the lightning purple sky.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I mean, being in suburban America is a horror story in of itself, but
yeah, who knows what's out there. So eventually I caved, watched it with family. I'm like, yeah, that's not that scary. Since then, I've probably seen it maybe 3 more times. So I would say 4 times for the podcast. Anything else with that? I guess that would be it. Ryder, you're up.
All right. I think I haven't seen the full movie before. That being said, I had thought I'd seen nothing of this movie before. I have seen a couple scenes out of context before because my mom's a huge Carrie Fisher fan. Can't really blame her for that. And the one scene that I remember seeing out of context is the nightmare sequence, and I think the full dream sequence, and I think one of the discussions between Carrie Fisher and Tom Hanks. I don't remember which one I saw, but I do remember those two things jumping out at me. And I had no context for them until now.
All right. interesting histories scattered about here. We'll jump into facts that I found. Starting with the budget, it was 18 million, so pretty small, even for 1989, fairly small.
Okay.
And a box office of 49.1 million worldwide. So it did pretty well. It made its money back and then some.
Okay. Interesting.
And now they have a TV show coming up. But I didn't find anything on that on my facts.
Oh, okay. All I got is that
Mhm.
I don't know if it's just the namesake or it's actually like full on reboot television show starring Kiki Palmer.
Yeah. It just seems like a retread of the premise. I don't know if it's in universe and it's a different street or something. I don't know. I didn't look into the TV show. I just looked into the movie. All right. So first fact we'll go with is Walter's toy poodle Queenie. I don't know what. Oh, toy poodles, I guess the breed. Was played by the same dog that played Precious in Silence of the Lambs.
Ooh.
And an Oscar-winning dog. Gotta love it.
Silence of the Lambs, a movie I don't remember too much, but scarred from one scene. Tom Hanks improvised the scene where he picks up the gurney and puts himself in the ambulance.
Fully believe that.
That's just pure Tom Hanks. Makes sense.
Yeah, it did seem improvised. All right, this next one's a long one, so I'm sure I'll butcher it along the way. The film was shot in sequence and was filmed during the writer's strike of 1988. The film was rushed into production to avoid a Writers Guild of America strike. Principal photography began the same day as the strike went into effect. May 19, 1988. Although Dana Olson, the writer, appeared in the film, he was prohibited from controlling anything on the script or on set. For this reason, Joe Dante encouraged the actors to improvise many scenes. One example was the moment when Rumsfeld rips the Clopex terrible wallpaper. The idea from Bruce Dern, who played Rumsfeld. Rick Dokamon, terrible, ad-libbed many of his lines, including the "Satan is good, Satan is our pal" dialogue. Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher came up with the idea of playing along with Jeopardy. So a good chunk of the film is improvised.
Interesting.
I can definitely tell.
Prop master Mark Jameson was charged with making fake dog poo because the actors complained that they didn't want to step in real dog poo.
It's easily identifiable as fake.
The mixture included canned dog food and bean dip.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell. I don't know. Come on. It's not that hard to be a method acting for this. You're even wearing a shoe.
I mean, you're getting paid hundreds of thousands probably. You can step in some dog poop. In shoes that aren't even yours. According to
James
James
H. Clean off. That's the prop team.
That's true. According to James H. Spencer, the film's production designer, the Universal backlot did not have a cul-de-sac, and one had to be created for the film, utilizing the famous house in Leave It to Beaver and The Monsters, alongside others from like The Desperate Housewives.
That I did identify while watching the movie. That this was the house from the Monsters.
I haven't seen Monsters. During the filming on the set, there was a voice in the distance that was yelling, "Help!" This was because the set was close to the Jaws ride at Universal Studios, and this voice was played loudly on the PA system in the distance. According to director Joe Dante, you could literally hear it during some scenes in the movie, which is said a little more loose. Whatever, we'll cut that part out.
It's a little more loose?
Yeah, just a little more loose.
Okay. All right. It's not bad. That's funny.
I never heard anyone screaming help in the background of this movie.
I was not listening for it, so I didn't pick it up.
Yeah, I wasn't listening for it either, so I got nothing.
But maybe on a rewatch.
Maybe. And the last one I'll go with is Michael Jackson's chimpanzee Bubbles was a frequent guest on the set. He was brought to set and taken care of by the animal wrangler, and that brought the dogs for the movie.
That's a very 80s fact.
Michael Jackson's monkey.
Bubbles.
Chimpanzee, sorry.
Yeah.
So there's the butchered facts. Anything you guys got?
Oh, I do, actually. Mayfield Place, the street that the cul-de-sac is located in this fictional place in the Burbs, is actually not around the corner from either 234 Elm Street or 1225 Sycamore Street.
And for the audience, the relevance?
They'll pick it up.
All right, they'll pick it up. All right. Ryder, you got any?
Nope.
All right, then we'll jump into the coverage. We are doing a 3-act structure where you can jump around anywhere within the act. Act 1 being from the beginning to the Klopeks digging in their yard. That part is included in the act. And we will start with Ryder.
Oh boy. I'll start with the very obvious thought. I thought I was watching Monster House there for the first few minutes of the film, because it's almost like once after the first night and Tom Hanks wakes up in the morning and goes to get his the newspaper. It for me it felt like almost a shot for shot like Monster House film.
It did focus on the house pretty prevalently there.
Yeah. I know obviously it's not the it's not the Monster House opening, but it definitely it evoked the same feeling that the opening of the Monster House movie did.
I can get that. I don't see where shot for shot comes from because I don't think that's right. But I do get like the house is like this horror on the street and not so much the people in the house.
Yeah. I think for me I think for me that kicks in when you have the bike rider throwing the newspaper at everybody as they're going down the street. That for me I think just put me right back into Monster House, because Monster House obviously starts with the little girl on the tricycle.
Yes. It's also the magical wind.
That was going to be my first point. Seeing the movie all the way through, I don't like the wind. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And it happens more than once. So it is kind of a thing. When you enter the property, it gets all eerie and windy.
Yeah. I mean, the best route to have for this is they just happen to be using the giant furnace, and that's what causes the wind. But it's very convenient all the same that it's happening like this right now, because it makes it feel more ethereal than it actually is.
That is definitely the in-world understanding breakdown, reality look onto it. There's a point in this movie that convinced me what this movie was conveying, that the rest of this movie made more sense to me upon that realization. And that is its approach to comedy.
All right, where it's kind of slapsticky.
Kind of. Yes. The wind for me is for comedic effect.
I don't know if I'd say it's comedic effect, but I'd say it's more of a tone setter. I don't think it's meant to be humorous, because the opening here, it's to show eeriness around the house, and then the next time I think it happened was when they go up to ring the doorbell or just approach the door. You get the wind on that again, and I don't think that was set to humor other than just their nervous faces approaching the house.
Okay. I do think it's added for comedy.
So what element, I guess, brings the humor?
The sake that upon everything's fine until stepping, or at least for this beginning bit, that when Ray steps onto the dead lawn, the wind picks up and the horror of this atmosphere takes hold, and as soon as he steps off, it dies down.
All right. And I can see it being in a gray area, I suppose.
Yeah, I can see it being a comedy pitch. Doesn't take away the objective problem if this is occurring in world.
Yeah, in world
that
doesn't really make sense, because even if you went with the furnace being on, when they approach the house later, it isn't on. So it's just the house spawns wind.
Sure. I can already see where this episode's going.
Oh yeah?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Where's it headed?
The difference in breaking down the movie's portrayal of what it's going for versus in real life scenario of what would happen.
Yes, probably. All right, you're up.
I'm gonna go with an overarching big thing for me. Now, Tom Hanks, I think, is a good actor, very well-known actor, big name. I was going to ask you, Crimson, but it didn't seem you have any of your facts. I was curious, in Tom Hanks' career, what number film was this for him? But it didn't seem you had that answer.
No, I don't have that answer. The, I guess, more relevant answer that I have for that is they filmed this after he'd filmed Big, but Big came out. Big came out. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. So this was supposed to come out in 1988, but got delayed. I forgot what the purpose was, but due to that delay, Big came out first. But this was supposed to come out first.
Okay.
That's all I got on the timeline for you.
Okay, Crimson, do you want to say your line?
My line?
Yeah. Do you want to tell the audience something about Big?
The pedophile movie?
Okay, I'll go with Crimson's place. Hey, audience, we covered Big. Go back and listen to that one if you want.
Oh, sure. I guess that's my line. Go check out our coverage.
That was funny.
Yeah. Wow. Also, audience, just on the
different pages, you two.
Yep, on the visual side of things, just want to give an apology for the slideshow going on YouTube and Rumble that the images are not in chronological order to the film. So, just in case someone's like, these aren't in order, just letting you know. But as I was getting back to it, Tom Hanks' big name, don't know how big at the time of '89, but big name, and Carrie Fisher. Big name after Star Wars, of course, and other things in her career. I know the two of you are more on the side of romantic couples in media and how good they portray and how well they come across. In this film, I think Carrie Fisher and Tom Hanks have no romantic chemistry.
Oof. Well, Ryder, what do you think?
I think on the writing side, it's a good job. I will say I don't feel the chemistry between the characters. So it's definitely like, I think objectively the writing or ad-libbing is okay. I don't. It's missing a core element though that would, I guess, highlight the chemistry of the characters for me a little bit more.
I think part of what builds that feel is there wasn't any like scenes that were happy between them. Jeopardy is probably the closest thing to it.
My idea is it's interrupted, right? Yeah.
Yeah, by art. And you can have a good romantic couple that is bickering all the time, but in this, I don't think there's any time for that to breathe any levity.
Yeah, I have more of an issue, I guess, with that than I do with the idea that they don't have chemistry. Because I don't mind if the couple's bickering in their entire for most of their screen time, but I do think there is a better way to pace that out.
I mean,
think. And that might contribute to your feeling of there not being any chemistry.
No, it's fine if a couple bickers back and forth. I mean, take a look at Christmas with the Cranks. I think Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis have more chemistry between their relationship in that movie than Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher do here. But they're far more bickering at one another in that movie.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far. Then again, I have a very low opinion of Cranks.
Yeah. Well, then I'm not also saying that chemistry has to come through good acting. Because Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher, as I prefaced at the beginning, is a great actor and great actress. I just don't think their on-screen romance between the two is fully believable.
Well, I think one of the things that exemplify it is when he's in the ambulance and she's just Hey, I'll meet you at the hospital. She's not the caring
Yeah.
wife. Oh my gosh, are you? There's none of that. She's just She's pretty stone faced.
She's very much okay. I mean, that gets into Act 3. And like I said, I do think they do the bickering stuff very well, but they don't do the stuff around the bickering very well, because that's not at that point in the movie, they're not bickering. And the stoicism from Carrie Fisher's character comes across as just cold and not romantic at all. And I don't know if that's, the fact that they were ad-libbing most of the script, or if that's their attempt at comedy, that she's just like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna meet you at the hospital. Have a safe ride.
Yeah. So moments like that, I think, were opportunities for them to flesh out their romance, other than they just yell at each other. But that's absent. In terms of their like chemistry, I didn't find it great, but I didn't find it absent either. I felt a little bit of something there.
Okay. Could just be a me thing.
Well, I mean, I agree. It's not as strong chemistry.
Yeah, it's not the strongest chemistry I've seen on
No.
the podcast.
But I don't, unfortunately, I don't know what year Splash came out. I feel like that was in the 80s. Is that
Looks
before
like an
this
80s
one?
film.
Splash may have been before this. I blanking on the year. But the romance chemistry that Tom Hanks can do in earlier work comes through. So I know it's achievable at this point in time. And the same with Carrie Fisher for Princess Leia with Han in Return of the Jedi can come through. So I know before this film, they both have the acting chops to do that.
Acting ability.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Could be a lot of things at fault. If I'm going to take it's true that most of the stuff is ad-libbed, I tend to find that most things that are ad-lib don't tend to do chemistry very well. It's very hard to do that.
Yes, more like improv, back and forth stage friend thing.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess the example for this, right, is like the one couple that's hopping in my right now that had a lot of ad-libbing but still got off chemistry was Gwyneth Paltrow and RDJ and Iron Man. At least Iron Man 1. Because they bicker a lot, and then they kind of settle back into like the quieter dialogue bits in them. So like I'm thinking about I'm thinking about them arguing, and then over like no fucking anything. They can argue over anything, but and then that. So actually, okay, I'm gonna go to Iron Man 2. So the scene where she's following him around and he promotes her to the president of the company at the end of the scene. Like that's obviously a lot of bickering that happens in there, but that film knows to end the bickering and let them have a serious moment at the end of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What this film is missing is giving them a serious moment at the end of each bickering scene. Every scene where they're bickering gets interrupted or something else pulls their attention before they can have a sweet moment that might highlight the chemistry further. And I think that's a product that this is my example for this is an issue with ad-libbing that I tend to take when it comes to developing chemistry with on-screen characters. It's not impossible to do, it's just much harder because you can't keep track of the pacing of a conversation as easily when you're constantly ad-libbing through something. Whereas with like Iron Man 2, it felt like the end of the bickering was decided before they started to bicker. Does that make sense? They had a goal to reach by the end of the bickering.
I get what you're saying, but you're also going with, you think it's needed to better represent on-screen romance by including that. From the example of Iron Man.
Probably. In the example of Iron Man, I would say yes. I'm highlighting more so than elements that's missing that's hurting the chemistry between Carrie Fisher and Tom Hanks.
I guess I'll ask a question both of you in regards to this. What feels like the most realistic like chemistry then? And I guess starting with Sprinks on that.
The argument at the kitchen table before their son comes in.
With we're having a conversation on?
Yeah, the conversation about the vacation. I think that's
Okay.
the best piece. And that could just because they both have the most emotion in that scene.
Mine would probably be when he's kicking her out to go to the cousins or aunts or whatever, wherever they drop the kid off at.
Interesting. Yeah, that one felt very lacking. Even the kiss on the cheek seemed very staged.
Sure, the kiss on the cheek, but I could feel Carrie Fisher. What the heck was her character? Carol. I could feel Carol seeing through his facade and going with it, and I could see the characters actually thinking. It's not just flat like a lot of their interactions. There is character going on there, which I think to me adds more to the chemistry. The characters feel alive. And writer?
Yeah, I'm still thinking on it. I'll probably have an answer for you in like 5 minutes. It might end up being one of your two scenes because those are the two scenes that keep coming to my mind. I do, in a weird way, I like the. Well, actually, okay, I'll pick something different for a different reason. I like that when Carol accidentally bumps into Tom Hanks and he crushes the beer cans. I got that to me was a bit of bickering that was funny and felt very fitting for those two characters. Obviously, the getting hit in the nose is staged, but I think that still the characters were there more than the actors, I guess is how I'm going to phrase that.
Wow. Huh. The scene where she comes out and hits him and he grabs the beer cans.
Yeah, and he crushes them. He's like, did that make you feel better? He's like, yeah, it worked. I'm like, that to me was funny, and it also kind of highlights what a more softer side to their bickering. So I did enjoy that a little bit.
Wow, okay.
I take it by that you strongly disagree.
Not strongly, but I do disagree. To me, that felt kind of the improv-ish bit.
That one did kind of feel like a play.
I didn't see any chemical romance, in that at all.
Yeah, this is. I mean, we should probably be upfront with this. I think when it comes to deciding chemistry, it's going to be very subjective, unless it's very, very like blatant and dry. Because, I mean, Crimson and I argue all the time about whether a romantic couple is good or not. Or going back even further than that, we argued over certain ships and fandoms that we were part of together for a long time. And
Buzz.
No, I got that one.
Yeah, it's an easy one. But like, so we all might also be operating on different definitions of chemistry as well, and because it's going to be hard to nail down a objective quantifier for chemistry when that's largely based on the subjective feelings we're going to walk away with from a story.
I agree in large with that. It is hard to quantify chemistry objectively because it's how you perceive the actors working together, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, that explains why we all have a little bit of a different take, I guess, when it comes to the chemistry between Carrie Fisher and Tom Hanks. I think we can agree they did a good job acting-wise.
Yes.
But the chemistry, I guess, and their romance is what we're all going to take maybe a little bit differently.
Yes, and for the sake of this whole conversation, this whole bit we're doing of, well, not a bit, but just like this whole thing, coming into question brings up that it wasn't easily believable.
It's not high echelon.
Yeah, if I'm gonna put this on my list of chemistry, romantic chemistry, this is probably middling to the lower end of average. I've definitely seen a lot better, but I know for a fact I've seen worse.
Oh, for me, it's a 2 out of 10.
Oh yeah, there's worse out there.
That's a 2 out of 10. Wow, that's
Oh,
pretty
it's
strong.
yeah. That's the reason I bring it up. I'm like, oh, kind
Yeah.
of shocking. Big name people, but nothing.
Yeah. I'm probably at a 4. Might drop to a 3.5 on a rewatch. But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm pretty much low end of average with this one, I think.
All right. Well, I guess I feel obligated to give us a number. I probably would also be in the 4 range because I think it's just slightly above or below average.
Yeah.
Chemistry.
Another thing,
Because I've seen
yeah, another thing.
lots of like student trash films that have way worse chemistry.
Yeah, another thing that might be contributing to your lack of chemistry here, Sprinks, is because you know the heights the two actors can reach.
Yes, and from previous works, not future works.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, from previous works. Yes. Sorry, I that's what I meant.
Yes, and a double check. Splash came out in 1984.
You say 84 or 94?
84. So
84.
5 years prior.
All right. Let's see. I will bring up the bees. Random, but fine. It works. The comedy's there. What didn't really work for me is the bee in the mouth. He was
so
screaming
fake.
and hollering the whole freaking time. And I have to believe that there was a bee just jumping around in his mouth the whole time he was screaming. And then he closed his mouth and kept it in there. No, that doesn't make any sense. So I think this movie, struggles with the balance between the humor and the reality within this world, because this world's reality is a little off. But the bee in the mouth it's breaking it, I think.
This movie does not have a problem with breaking reality.
Correct. I mean, Art got electrocuted and died in that shed.
Yes, I
He
tried.
died from the electrocution, and
I tried to keep up if his fingernails were black from the continuation of that scene, but I guess I missed details, or it was like dark at night kind of thing. But
it was dark.
No, for me, the pivotal change of this movie coming across what I saw, like the comedy route of this, was when Ray and Art are going up to the house and like daring each other, where it's funny because these grown-ass men in this neighborhood are acting like children, and it's zooming in on everyone's eyes, like everyone in the neighborhood watching them, and it does a rule of 3 of 3 eyes, but it breaks to a 4th one being Queenie's eyes. And when it zooms in on the dog's eyes, taking up the whole screen, I went, all right, first off, funny, but I get what you're going with here.
Yeah, that was funny.
And
yeah,
that did help. Like, once my realization came from that bit at the beginning here, helped what I think is the funniest bit in this movie.
Are you going to hold on to it, or are you going to...
Oh, I'll hold on to it. Because I'm sure it's going to be something to talk about.
I think that might be one of our bigger contentions in this, is balancing the comedy absurdity. Because there is levels to absurd comedy. We don't see a scene where Tom Hanks takes off like a skin mask and he's an alien. That is absurd.
Yeah, this isn't...
it's not absurd levels like Monty Python
Goosebumps episode
stuff and your Goosebumps. Well, Goosebumps a little different, but it's not a Monty Python absurdity.
No, but Goosebumps can be like, something's going on here. What's crazy? Is it the teacher? And they walk into the teacher's classroom and the teacher's an alien. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. So there is a scale to absurd comedy, and I think part of my issues with this is it doesn't know its place on the scale. So there'll probably be moments that are brought up for that.
If there's a scale, you're saying, of 1 being realistic, serious approach, and a 10 being off the wall, crazy, cat in the hat tomfoolery, I think this movie is like at an 8.
Consistently an 8, or does it break into 9 territory?
I think it leans a little into the 9, leans a little into the 7, but averagely kind of stays within that 8.
Okay. I'm not too far off. If I was to put it on an absurdity scale, I'd probably put it at a 7.
Now I
And I guess
feel
writer.
obligated to give a number.
Yeah.
I was thinking. Okay, so I'll preface a little bit before I give my number. So I think this film doesn't know, like, okay, it gets the tone of the comedy the same, but it doesn't get the consistency of, like, the broader implications of the comedy consistent. And to generally explain this feeling, um uh what's a good one? Do you have, what's a good suggestion for this? Let's go Deadpool. Deadpool obviously, talks to your audience, talks to the straight up to the audience, uh and makes fourth wall breaking jokes constantly while going through. That's a very high level of breaking the world for the sake of comedy. And below that, I would probably put maybe a parody. So where everything is clearly a rip of something, but it's still everyone treats it seriously within world. Um, and this is just an example of, I guess, a couple of like where the range of consistency would be. This one has moments that break the fourth wall into the absurdity, but it also has moments where, well, I guess the where everyone's looking at the street, like after Art and Ray convince each other to walk up to the house together, and everyone has like the Western stare down, like, oh my god, they're actually going to do it. And like that could function in world without necessarily breaking the fourth wall. The predominant issue I take with this comedy most of the time is it doesn't really consistently stay within the range or lane it's trying to do, and therefore that causes other problems to occur. So I don't know the level of danger certain characters are in when certain scenes come later. I also don't know the level of, like, how we're supposed to take of what we're supposed to take seriously and what we're supposed to not take seriously. Um, and that's, I do think, is an issue with the film, because it's not consistent with that message. That being said, I'm probably at a 6.57 range as well. I do think I do think it does enough absurd stuff to kind of put it higher on the scale, but it doesn't typically go overboard. Though I would say there are definitely scenes that do.
All right. Two new scales: the absurdity scale and the chemistry scale. All right. Spriggs, you got a point to jump to?
Sure. I like that the opening credits of the cast is just so for when Ray comes out to go check on the house and then the whole wind thing, and it pauses. The cast pauses until the opening morning, then it goes into the production team and everything else. I think that's a nice pause to add to give tension for the scare of this house.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was, I guess, well planned out or paced. And I guess just on the intro as well as the Earth zoom in to the street.
Yes, which becomes a bookend.
Yeah, I wish I found facts on how they did that because it was pretty darn clean. I rewound it to see if there was like a clear cut between an image to footage on the street, and it looked very clean. And yeah, the bookend of it just was a rewind of it, which is why they don't zoom out from the street because they're in a different part of the street than they started with.
Yeah.
But that shortcut ignored. Pretty good bookend, I think. Writer.
Alrighty, I'll jump to the how all the neighbors are introduced. All the neighbors are introduced in a very specific way that really tell you, like, who they are as a character. And I think the film does a very good job of getting Art's character archetype across. Rumsfeld character archetype across, and even the old man with the
Walter.
Walter. Thank you. Though, funny enough, I called him Hitler toupee for the longest time because he looked like an old Hitler. No offense to the actor.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Cranky.
Yeah. But again, he comes across as like almost like a the old man down the street, and then you got Rumsfeld, who's also the cranky, like the crankier one, who's like a war veteran. So like, there's a lot of archetypes. They do a very good job introducing all the characters, I think, to get the point of who they are across very quickly, even if you don't spend a lot of time with them, because you don't spend a lot of time with Rumsfeld at first, yet you understand who he is based on his introduction.
Yes.
He goes out every morning with a folded American flag to put it up, and gets pissed when he steps in dog shit. So
I think something they could have done a little stronger was for Ricky's character, because I didn't know he owned that house until later.
Or in my place, yeah, his age was iffy because he looks like a teenager. I wouldn't have guessed.
I thought there was a line of dialogue that explained this, that his parents were away for a couple weeks. Am I getting that wrong?
I don't recall.
Maybe I don't recall either. What's the line that you were saying, Sprinks, that he owned the house?
No, just later in the movie when he has a girlfriend over and they're walking around inside the house to walk out of. Because I was under the impression that he was just there to paint a house, like in the neighborhood, and he's just like this kid who does like small jobs around the neighborhood.
I see. Okay. Then yeah, I guess could either be he owns the house or he just lives in it with his parents. Either way, and yeah, the speakers are on the porch when we first see him with the paint bucket that he's just messy with, which kind of feels like he does this thing every morning with Rumsfeld. Play the music every time he puts up the flag.
It's
he
like
may or he may not.
You might enjoy the mayhem.
Yeah, it's like Sergeant Fillmore in Cars.
Yeah. But I agree with what you said, Ryder. I think they did a pretty good job introducing the characters. Get a good feel of who they are in a very short amount of time.
I need to look up the name of a character so I get this right.
Rumsfeld's wife. I don't think I ever wrote it down.
Miss Rumsfeld. That's what Ricky called her.
Rumsfeld. I think she's the only character that lacks character all that much. She doesn't get a lot of screen time. So
the hot blonde.
There's that to it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the hot blonde with the old grizzled war vet. The only semblance of character we get from her, I think, is more when Carol's dragging her along in like being a good like neighbor.
Yeah.
Actually, I like the add-on that Ricky has a girlfriend so that he's not like a horny sleaze meatball around Miss Rumfield.
Yeah.
No tan
line. I
line.
approve of that.
Like, there's one joke for that. It's like, okay, cheeky, but it's not like throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, and because he has a girlfriend, that explains why Rumsfeld doesn't get defensive.
I guess
in most other films, that would be an excuse for a character like Rumsfeld to get defensive, and I'm kind of happy we circumvented that trope.
Well, everyone in this neighborhood's kind of a family, minus Walter. No one really seemed to like Walter.
They like Walter enough to break into his house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I guess does play into that monster house kind of thing, that the old man everyone thinks died and then comes back because he was just in the hospital.
That's true.
Yeah, like I said, I got a fairly decent monster hunter feeling. All right, I figured out. I just wanted to look up the character name so I make sure I said this right. Art is the same archetype from Del Griffith, but more annoying.
I was getting Del Griffith vibes. I know Springs Paw doesn't like that because he's
No.
a huge fan of Del Griffith. But I
I
was
know
getting
you're a huge
vibes.
fan, but art is very much the same archetype, and this is a good example of the thin line you're walking when you create a character like this, because art obviously is very annoying and crosses lines. And Del Griffith does too, but Del Griffith is not intentionally crossing lines. He's kind of accidentally bumbling into them. So that's I think they're very much cut from the same archetype, which makes them a very, very fascinating study.
They're both motor mouths.
Yes.
Yeah.
The most motor mouse, but Art is far more paranoid.
Yeah, I mean, they're not the same character, but they're pretty similar in how they're portrayed, I think.
To me, the big difference between the two is Del is a lot more loose. Go with the flow, optimistic, things happen. Art is a lot more tight. We got to get this done. This is how it's going to go. We got to solve this. Come on, Ray, let's do it. To me, that is a big difference between the two.
Yeah, I mean, Art is a lot more proactive in his delusions. Del Griffith doesn't really have delusions. He's just walking around the country. Going with the flow, as you were putting it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not trying to make the argument that they're the same character. I think they're definitely cut from the same cloth of archetype, though.
Okay.
Springs?
Yeah, I guess speaking about Art, when he's kind of introduced by just eating all the food in Ray's house, he has an empty syrup bottle and goes to the fridge, which I think is comedic that he takes out a pineapple. That was whoever decided that in the prop department. I think that's funny.
One too, right?
Yeah. But does he put the empty syrup bottle back in the fridge?
Art is totally the kind of guy that would do that.
I think he does.
I don't even remember the syrup bottle.
I think he does. I find it funny, for sure. But yeah, I think that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, I think he gets up with the empty one, goes to the fridge, puts an empty one in, takes out a fresh full one, along with like a pineapple and cold ribs.
Who is he to throw away their property? They might want to use that bottle for something else.
Maybe. It's recyclable.
He's just a nice guy.
Which brings up just a weird question, Crimson. I don't know if you should be able to. Do you guys put syrup in the fridge?
No. That's up in like the pantry.
I feel like syrup's a room temp thing.
It is a room temp thing. You're supposed to. Okay.
Because I don't think on bottles it's like refrigerate after opening.
If you make homemade syrup, I think it's probably better to fridge it. But if you're doing store-bought, most of the time you don't need to. I know there's an exception, but I don't remember the exception.
I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen like a Mrs. Butterworth in a fridge.
No, I don't think it's conventional. But Art is not a conventional guy.
No, this is maybe it's a 1989 thing.
Maybe it's like Jimmy Neutron and all those eggs, aka also Ryder, who had a bunch of eggs apparently.
Yeah, that was a lot of eggs, but I didn't know there's something like Incredible Shrinking Woman. I forget what year that takes place in. Was that the 70s?
Oh, I think that was 81.
81? Okay, so something like that, like just crazy weird things that are just there. I guess comparatively to modern day.
Very well could be. All right. Ryder, you're
up. I guess they okay. I think my next pick is going to be. I quite like the neighborhood dynamic. And I guess the scene I'm going to focus on right now is just Art gossiping to Ricky when Ray comes outside to smoke a cigar and walk the dog. He decides to go the other way from the house, and already reaches leans over to Ricky, kind of explains that some of the drama in their relationship because he's a huge gossiper.
Yeah, everyone in this neighborhood's a massive gossiper. And Rumsfeld was telling his wife about Ray as well. I think before that scene. But
I
yeah,
think so,
I
yeah.
do like the community here, like you're saying.
The community comes across as like an actual character, which is nice.
Did either one of you get an interest in seeing Ricky's suggestion of the Sentinel?
I hadn't seen it, so I didn't really have much of a connection to it.
Okay, I haven't
Do
seen it either.
you?
No, just
Okay.
something like Ricky bringing up his example of like a gateway to hell situation. That's what he thinks the old Kopech's house is, or the old Knapp's house, I guess, that became the Kopech's house. But
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a fine inclusion of it. And maybe it's more of a reference of the time. I don't know how old Sentinel is, but I'm sure it was semi-relevant or known to be referenced anyhow. And you got like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in this and Exorcist. I didn't know what the first clip was of the like sacrifice, but Exorcist and Chainsaw Massacre.
yeah, the Sentinel was 1977.
Okay, so it'd be decently known still by this point.
I guess not to go too far from it, but Crimson, what you just said of what was on the TV, maybe it's just the time. I can't believe those three movies are on public broadcast cable on 3 different channels.
I wrote that exact thing down to the extent where I even looked up how many channels there were in 1989, and there was 36 channels. So you're telling me 3 of those channels were horror channels? I don't think so.
Yeah, I
I don't
think
even think they had a horror channel.
I think that leans
So,
into the absurdist comedy.
yes, that was going to be one of my examples of the spectrum I talked about earlier, where that one breaks the world. That doesn't make sense.
For
But it is,
1989.
yeah. But it is sent in a real world. Like there's the world itself is normal. It's the people in this that are not normal. Uh, so that doesn't. That I think that's too much. Like the bee in the mouth.
Interesting. This makes me think like a comparison to like Edward Scissorhands.
Interesting. What part of
Just like
that film?
that suburban neighborhood situation.
Yes.
Where there's one
Where
weird thing, like the house being in this one or the Kopechs, but that's Edward in that one, where everything else is these people that act differently because of this situation. But that's quote unquote not a real world.
yeah, in Edward Scissorhands, the characters are absurd, but so is the world in that one. Meanwhile, in this, the world is pretty normal. You got normal cops, normal town. It's just the people that things happen to are getting shocked to death. So, yeah, I guess that's my stance on it. So, that one kind of damages the world within this comedic film. But it would be a nitpick. I mean, and just because there's 3 channels, that's not really an impact on anything.
No.
Yeah, like it doesn't break. I mean, it breaks the world, but not in a way that affects the story too much.
No.
So
Doesn't
yeah,
affect
I
anything.
agree. That wouldn't really relieve the realm of nitpick for me either.
The only thing it affects is his dream where a chainsaw is cut through the wall. Probably. That'd be about it.
Yeah.
Right. Writer.
Just give me my notes. Oh yeah. I did not like the introduction of Art's character because it's not a pellet gun he's using, and I take an issue with that.
Oh no, that's just a full on gun.
Yeah.
Rifle.
And he pretty much almost kills Ray immediately. I agree this is an absurdist comedy story. I still think this should have been addressed because this film is serious enough to where I think that Art should have at least apologized.
That I agree with. I'm fine with the gunshot here, him doing that. That's an Art thing to do. But Ray's lack of actual reaction and Art's lack of acknowledgement about him almost killing his friend is a little absent.
Well,
one of those or both of those, I think, should have been heightened.
oh, do you think Tom Hanks has a quote on how many times he can freak out in a movie?
There were several times in here where all I could hear was Woody.
Yeah, I just went. I feel like he was cast for a reason.
Maybe. This yelling no or whatever and the zooming in and out, all I heard was Woody screaming in there.
That was funny. I know it's so overdramatic,
Okay.
but I don't know why. But that just tickled my funny bone
Yeah,
because it's
Crimson,
so
since
absurd.
you brought it up, that is the funniest thing in this movie for me. It shocked me of like absurdist humor that this movie doing normal camera angles and shots and trying to stay a little serious with what the fear of the neighbors and everything was, and just start going, this is Walter, and the scream and the zoom, and I was like, what happened? Oh, it was so funny.
And it's just, I think what makes it funnier to me is picturing them without the camera, just in real life, doing with the whole camera stuff's amusing. But yeah, that was kind of out there.
With the preface of what this movie's shown before, like with the wind talk or the zoom in on Quinny's eyes and all that, I think they give enough to earn doing this.
Yeah,
I agree. I think that fits.
I also will third that. I have no issue with them doing that.
Yeah, it didn't come out of the blue kind of thing. I mean,
it's
did,
also
but
fitting because it comes out of the blue, but it works because it also works with the two characters' state of minds because Ray is at the end of his fucking rope sanity-wise at this point, and Art is just getting more and more paranoid, and it's just driving Ray up the wall too. So that's like the final like nail in the coffin for that joke.
Yeah.
It works really well, yeah.
Do both of you think the integration of Skip's storyline was pretty natural or kind of a shoehorned story for
50-50.
I
see the point of it being in, but it is fully a foreshadowing of things to come.
Yeah, which is why I opposed it, because it seemed pretty heavy-handed, but I don't know if it's objectively
it's believable for Skips to bounce off of what Ricky said about the Sentinel to go with that story. So Ricky does a setup for Art to talk about it, and it's not just Art just coming up with nonsense off the top of his head of something relevant to the past, but it is foreshadowing of their characters going into then Ray doing his whole breakdown of like, it wasn't them, it was us the whole time.
Where were the psychopaths? The lunatics, that's the word. Yeah, lunatics.
Crazy lunatics that we are.
And Ryder, your thoughts on
it? Yeah, it comes again. Force is not the right word. It's very heavy-handed with the foreshadowing, but it works within the conversation objectively. Like it's believable how they got there. So, like, if they, for example, were just like they were talking about like I don't know a football game, and then Art just like, hey, you guys want to hear like a scary story? Like that would be a little bit more forced. Or Art just started talking about it to interrupt the story of the football game, whatever conversation they were having. I don't think got there as naturally as they could to get the exposition across. I don't have an issue with it.
Okay. I'm agreeing. I don't think there's any objective problems with it or damage applied to it, I guess. But I can see, all of us can see the blatant writing purpose behind it. Doesn't feel very smooth.
It's a tool. I could see it for what it is.
Yeah. How are Act 1 notes looking, fellas?
I think I have a couple left.
All right, then you can go, Springs.
Okay. Back to Art eating. They do a nice amount of shot cuts between, because they do a lot of things in films of when actors are eating on screen, they chew and then spit out because they're not ingesting all that food, which could change takes and like, you know, eating a lot, drinking a lot. Funny enough, Tom Hanks actually talks about this in the back behind the scenes of Forrest Gump when he had to drink a ton of Dr. Peppers for multiple takes because he said he could do it and he regretted it. But Art eating, I think out of all the whole scene, he swallows once and everything else cuts before swallowing. So I think he did spit out the food or didn't fully eat it.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. It is filmed in a way that is possible. And I guess I forgot to bring it up in the facts section, but there is a hour-long making of documentary of this film.
Ooh.
Oh, fascinating.
For those who are interested, that exists somewhere.
Are we covering that next week? Who knows?
Oh man, documentary.
We've
Back to
covered,
the
Decided to watch
movie.
a
we've
movie
covered
and then watch the
documentaries.
documentary about the movie.
Well,
Yeah.
we've covered a documentary, right? Just one?
Yeah, American movie.
Yeah.
And it's not your conventional documentary.
No. But we've talked about documentaries.
Yeah. Okay, writer.
Yeah, I will jump to the neighbors sneaking around, the neighborhood sneaking around. I like them hiding behind the trash can, and it is a little funny that they drive, they open the garage, drive the car to the street to just empty out the trash, rather than just carry the trash out.
Something,
Yes.
it just adds so much eeriness and mystery to these characters. But something I think that really benefits the cheese factor of this movie and the weirdness of it is the music. When they go, look, no headlights, and then this deep organ starts playing, I think that's funny.
No, the music is well synced with events in this film. I would definitely agree with that. And some
I
of them
don't know
do
if
aid
it
in the
helps.
humor.
It
I don't know
reminds
if
me
it
of
helps
Clue.
the cheese factor, but it makes it feel cheesy, I guess.
So I guess on the topic of this scene, I don't like it. I don't know. The way to break it down for me is it damages the characters, the Kopecks. Because at this point, I think Ray said they've been living there for a month and nobody's seen them or interacted with them.
Yeah, and then they're coming out like twice in one day.
Yeah. When one is them throwing away maybe a body, maybe not, maybe it got swapped out like Art said. I guess we don't really know. But that is something I would think they would do at night when they do everything else. So I don't know why they did that.
Well, they did, didn't they?
Kind of is contrary.
They did take the body out, or the trash out at night. They just decided
that
to
was-
spy on them.
No, that was daytime.
No, they take the trash out at night.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow, I
Yes, it
remembered
was
that.
nighttime.
But Hans
It's
coming out, scratching his face to take
though.
a newspaper and everything, that's just the day.
Yeah,
And
no,
everyone
that's
sees that.
conflating. Yeah, which doesn't really add up. Because presumably they've been getting their mail the whole month. There wasn't a pile of mail there for them to collect.
Yeah.
So
It's
why do
also
it now?
crazy how many, like, I had I think a Crimson moment kind of thing in this movie. There's so many actors I recognized from like one little B-side, maybe C-list scene in other movies they've been in.
Isn't that a fun feeling?
It's weird.
And then being irritated not to realize what it is and you have to look it up.
Yes, I didn't look anything up. I should have looked up the doctor because I recognize him from something.
Yeah, I know him from something too. I need to look it up.
But Vic the Garbage Man, he's the
Oh yeah.
toy guy from Small Soldiers.
Yep.
Oh, well, I know him from something else because I haven't seen Toy Soldiers.
Or Small Soldiers. Sorry, Small Soldiers.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Both the doctor and the garbage man. I know both of them too. Again, no idea from where.
Yeah, and then Hans, the kid, I know him from Can't Buy Me Love. I think he plays the best friend.
I haven't seen that one either.
So yeah, just like little things. I'm like, oh. And then Tom Hanks. I think I know him from a couple things, but
Carrie Fisher's
the
kind of the iffy one. I'm not really sure what I know her
yeah.
from.
Right.
She
okay,
was in When Harry Met Sally. We just covered that. I don't know
That's
anything
it.
else, but
yeah, it's true. I was gonna say I just looked up the Doctor right now. We would know them from The Incredible Shrinking Woman, and
Oh,
Oh, he's an incredible
me-
freaking
that's
for
woman.
me-
right.
yeah. I would know him as well from the Blues Brothers, because I think he's a police officer in that.
Oh.
Oh, he's in Magnolia. Oh gosh.
Wait, he's in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Who the fuck is he in Chitty Chitty
What?
Bang Bang? The Doctor.
Yeah. Well, that was in 1966, so what, 20 years prior?
Yeah. Well, he's apparently in that. I just don't.
What,
I
is he
don't
just
know
like
who
a
he is in
background
that.
person at the carnival?
Maybe.
Or is he like one of the old men in the Roses scene? Is he
I
one of
don't-
the
I'm not- I-
Keen's yuppie guppy people in the ugly purple costumes or something? I don't know. He is. Don't you dare tell me he's the toy maker.
The toy maker?
Not that
the
toy maker.
Oh, then the toy maker from Theodore Rex.
No, not that one either.
Darn. What a rabbit hole. Looney Tunes back in action. That's what I know the Garbage Man from. Jeez.
He's a
that was killing me.
dancer, I think, in the castle. That's what it says.
A dancer in the
He's
castle?
credited as
Okay.
a dancer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's one of those purple ugly suit people.
Yeah. Oh, and the Garbage Man was also in Deep Space Nine, Ryder.
That's where I know him from. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
No, Vic gets around.
Ooh, all right. I forgot. I think that was Sprinks Point. Ryder, you're up.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
talking
look
about
at my
art
list
swallowing food, and we got to Deep Space Nine.
again.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a pretty fun tangent. I do like. Again, it's a little thing with Ricky. I like that his girlfriend is skeptical, but he's like, no, trust me. This is gonna be like really. My neighborhood's really entertaining. I do like that because obviously it leads to him hosting a party eventually because obviously both he and his girlfriend ultimately end up enjoying the show.
Yeah. Pretty good. Do you guys think Ricky should have been more involved in the story and less just a spectator? He gets involved by trying to stall at the end with the cops, but that's pretty
think
much
he's okay.
his direct involvement.
He was
That was
included in.
Robert Picardo?
He was included in breaking into Walter's place.
I suppose that's true.
I think he was fine.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. One of the garbage men is Robert Picardo. Is that who you're referring to as the Deep Space Nine actor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He's in
Oh no, Dick
every
Miller.
Star Trek show.
Dick
in that
Miller was the
area.
one I was. Sorry, Dick Miller, the other one was the one I was talking about.
Yeah. Dick Miller, Deep Space Nine character, but Robert Picardo, the person beside him, also in every Star Trek iteration from the era. He plays a hologram. So they're both Star Trek actors. It's just funny.
Well, I think we all know that garbage guy as well. Springs probably does. Springs, did you recognize both the garbage men?
I only recognize Dick Miller. What's the name of the other one?
Robert Picardo.
That's factor time.
Let's see, Robert Picardo. I know Robert Picardo from none of these movies. Gremlins, apparently?
There you go. That's one. Boom.
Oh, Ben and 10 Race Against Time. Duh.
Of course.
Of
How
course.
did you not get that from his voice?
My mistake.
Oh, Race Against Time. That was live action.
Yeah.
Classic.
No, but Dick Miller was also in Gremlins. About that.
There you go. So more, I guess, on the Klopex. I don't know why they're digging in the backyard. They have the bodies in the trunk, but they also have the furnace, which 5,000 degrees, and I didn't want to put it on a Google search, but I feel like that's enough to get rid of bone, a full cremation. Uh, so I don't really know what the point of that was, other than just for Ray to see
Ooh,
it.
creepy. Yeah, I have to treat everything about the Copex as absurdist comedy, because if we don't, I think the film starts to fall into bad territory.
There has to be a reason why the
I mean, they are
doctor's also
characters.
burying. Like the other two, like the Ruben and Hans, are kind of the weird, like, foreign, not sure what they're up to kind of thing. But the doctor is very, like, seems calm, collected, proper. So him being involved in doing the digging, that all three of them were out there, kind of tells me like there is more of an importance to the digging then, rather than just like having Hans just do it for some reason or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell if the Naps, because they murdered the Naps, but are they digging the holes in the backyard to bury the Naps, or were the bones there and
The
they're
Nets
digging
were
back up? Is it like they
yeah,
were going to throw them away in the garbage and then they're like, not do that, and then they were going to bury them in the backyard and like, not do that? They keep changing their ideas.
yeah. Quick secondary question: is the Naps one of their neighbors, or are they from another neighborhood, like their last?
The Naps were in this house prior to the Kopex coming.
They killed them for the
Oh,
house.
I see. Okay. Okay, I do remember a line about that.
Because
Yeah, okay.
supposedly where the Kopex came from, their house burned down. Which could
Probably from those
imply,
neighbors.
I was going to say, it could imply that they had the furnace of the previous house that they killed. And they said this is like their fourth time moving. So maybe they bring like this furnace to kill people and burn them in every place they move to.
Maybe.
Maybe in that is a built-in excuse that they wouldn't be able to stay where they are living for too long because the furnace would eventually burn
Yeah.
down the house.
I do kind of like the thing, though, that the story of Skips that Art tells is he was caught because the summer heat wave gave the stench of the bodies to be found. And then the way that they're killing the bodies or decomposing the bodies in this is by burning them.
Yeah, I suppose there's a parallel there. So, I guess just to put the nail in the coffin, I am labeling them digging in the backyard as a it's an issue or a flaw. I'm gonna lean flaw because it does push the plot forward and raise belief that there's something
They're up to
something
something.
going there. But character wise, there's no real reason that we get for them doing that.
I have it as a nitpick because it's not answered as to the reason. I find it, though, that it could lean into the absurdist comedy that the trash was a body and then they decided against it and they were going to bury the bodies and then decided against that, which is why all the holes were then filled for Art and Ray to go digging.
Yeah, if you're going with they bring the furnace with them every time, then they wouldn't have done that stuff. They would have just burned the bodies.
And I think that leans into the absurd comedy because the doctor kind of tells Ray that in the back of the ambulance, like he burns them, but it doesn't get rid of all of them, like the skull.
The issue here is the absurd comedy in this vein is hurting the eternal consistency. I'm probably at uh what's the one beneath flaw? That would be an issue.
Issue.
Yeah. I'm probably at an issue with this because it pushes the plot forward and it seems needless. And this is that might put it towards a flaw for me. There's a point where they could absolutely have explained why all this was happening when the doctor's about to kill Ray at the end, because the doctor just kind of explains the game away, and that would have been an opportune time to explain that on top
Yeah.
of everything.
I'm sorry about talking about the last act, but I was surprised by that twist. I'm like, wow, there is more to this. And at first I thought it was another nightmare sequence.
That was going to be a question I was going to ask you in Act 3, is if you actually got put into a false sense of security with the ending.
I did. I thought the movie was like over. And the whole thing was like,
Yeah.
oh, they're the normal neighbors of the psychos, and they were just like normal people, the Kopecks. But it's like, oh no, they were murderers.
Turns out they're all crazy.
Yeah.
They thought they killed Walter, but they just killed other people instead. So yeah, well, I'll pick your brain more on that in Act 3. Act 1 still got some sprinks.
Looking, I think I only have one left.
All right, well, you can wrap that up while Ryder probably reads his.
Okay, last one I have here is that it was kind of cool that the lightning storm and the rain happened after the trash was taken out. So when they were activating the furnace down below and that was going off, it conducted so much energy that lightning was coming out of the top of the house. And that wasn't lightning striking the house.
Is that what that was? I thought it was lightning hitting the house.
No, with the context of the shot to shots of what was happening, the power was building from the basement. That lightning was shooting out from the top of that metal spire, I guess on like that tower bit of the house. And then followed by rain and then lightning afterwards.
I suppose so. I feel like I need to re-see that. And a random thing that I just thought about on the furnace thing. I don't think they brought the furnace. Because no one saw them move in. And they would have had to have lugged that down there.
Crimson, what are you
People
talking
would have
about? The
seen
moving
that.
truck was there for a whole day.
A whole day. And everything else in the house was from the previous owners, except for the paintings. Yeah. Which
Fair enough.
that painting was used in a different movie. I don't remember.
Oh, the
I
surgeon
didn't
one?
write that. I didn't write that one down. Yeah, that one's from I think it was a TV show or movie before
Oh.
this.
Man, they're just reusing a bunch of things in here.
Yeah. All right, Ryder, did you have any more?
I don't think I do. Covered kind of all the suburban life fun stuff. I guess the last note I have before he goes up to kind of just watch them dig in the backyard is Art goading him with his paranoia a little bit. Because
Yeah,
that also that kind of plays into the Art arc for the rest of the film, or for Ray's arc of the rest of the film.
Yeah, Art is 110% into this, and he gave that 10% to Ray to care. All right, so we'll go into Act 2 then. So from, I guess, the garbage men, since we did the digging, to the bloody glove. So that's where it's cut off at. And we'll start this one with Sprinks.
All right. Absurdist comedy again. Adding an elephant trunk noise to Ray sneezing was funny.
Yeah, they played around with sound a bit. You got that, and you got the bowling strike sound effect when he fell through the shed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there
they
is
play
some.
around with the noises for sure, I think.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
touching of the sardine Foley of like how wet and slimy it
Holy
was.
cow! I wrote that down. Like, what is that sound?
They overdid it. Please don't reenact it. They overdid it. Oh, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I
think
definitely
the
did
loudest
not
part of
need
the
to
movie.
watch that ever again.
Yeah, it was very loud, visceral. All right, but I agree. The sounds were well utilized in this. Kind of going with what you brought up earlier, Springs, with the music. I think was well utilized.
Yes, well done on the sound department.
Yeah. Right, I guess my point would be the femur under the fence. I don't know why the femur's under the fence. It should be in the backyard, not right against the fence.
If his dog had dug a hole deep enough to crawl to the other side and then come back, that would be one thing.
Yes, I can go with that. Definitely being a nick for me. I think it's higher than nitpick, but definitely I don't see it as an issue because that kind of aids into me thinking that they're burying the bones in the backyard. And then when Ray and Art go, there are no bones when they're digging up holes. And
'Cause
that's just one they missed.
They would have seen them dig up the bones to move them back into the furnace or something to that effect.
Yes, because there's only 2 instances of knowing that they're digging holes because Ray's son says it. I didn't get his name, but Ray's son says he noticed them digging holes, and then Ray notices them digging holes a separate night.
On the
So
topic
maybe
of,
one was fair for burying the bones, and then the night Ray saw it, they were taking the bones back.
Maybe either
So-
way, it still presents a problem, or not a not our scale kind of
presents
problem. But
damage.
presents damage.
Yeah. On the topic of Ray's son, I had no memory whatsoever of there being a son. I thought it was just him and Carol. I don't remember a son at all.
Well,
Or
again,
the dog for that
I don't
matter.
think he had an. Oh, Vince. At least the dog had a name.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, the son, he just gets kicked out of the movie.
He does.
Uh,
Just kind of. Hey, I saw them digging last night. Oh, cool. Hey, there's something going on outside. Thanks. I don't like my cousins. Have fun. That's kind of all the son has.
yeah. And due to that, do you think he's removable? Could those lines have been pushed on to like Richard or something? Or Richard. Ricky.
Ricky or Art, you could probably split up the lines.
Yeah.
I'm leaning yes because I don't think of anything that either Carol says or Ray says has to do with like we have a kid to raise. I want to spend time with my son this vacation. Any of that.
Most of it comes in the form of like, hey, I want to take Alex. I think his name is Alex. I want to take Alex to the cabin. I think that's the only time he's kind of mentioned offhandedly, and that kind of feeds more into the bickering between Ray and Carol. But I don't think that. But that dynamic doesn't really change much based on that.
No, they don't talk about their son.
So
it's just family trip to the cabin, which just could be a couple's trip to the cabin. It doesn't impact anything.
Or go see my sister. Go see the in-laws. Or
yeah, the basic premise of that conversation remains unchanged in the sense that she's trying to encourage him to spend his vacation not at home because she knows he's going to get stir crazy. Which is the thing I do like. Carol knows her husband enough to know that he's going to get stir crazy. But, yeah, I think Alex ? Is removable.
Alex ?
I'm like, what it comes across as him being there. Sure, his lines, but those could, as you say, go to Ricky or Art. But I guess just like a visual representation that this is a suburban family, like they've actually have a son and a dog in the house and that kind of thing. It's like they've cemented their relationship by actually having a child. But then again, that goes in the chemistry thing for me. It doesn't feel very like a loving family at all.
I think the way you involve the son more is maybe he connects a lot with Ricky, and that can help lead into the payoff when, with Ray is asking Ricky to look over the neighborhood while he's gone, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
so there's something they could have done there.
They have one scene of standing across the street when the bees attack, and then the son just looks disappointed in his dad. That's it.
Yeah, and like I said, that is the foundation to work for something, I think, right there, because the fact that they're together at all for, talking about what his dad's going to do in that moment. I think there's something there that they could build on if they chose to. They didn't, which is fine, but I think that makes the son a more removable character.
All right, so are we all in agreement? Alex ? Is a removable character.
I lean yes.
All right, I'm feeling the same way.
I'm also on a yes.
All right, Alex ? You're out of the neighborhood. Much like the end.
Well, actually,
you're out of here.
Let's Ray and Carol's last name?
Petersons or Peterson?
They're
Peterson?
the Petersons, I believe. Yeah.
Peterson Jr. Out of here.
Peterson Jr. Out of here. All right. Another minor thing that I didn't care for was when they slipped the note under the door, the Kopak's door. I didn't like that he opened the door to grab the letter when it was slid under the door. And if he, because they knocked, so if he opened it, looked around, and then looked down and saw the note, then I'd be okay with that. But he opens the door with his arm already like at floor level, grabbing the letter, which would have been in the house.
That is what we call a movie moment.
Yes,
That's
that is a
exactly
movie
what that
moment.
is. So, not the biggest fan of it, because in universe, it doesn't really make sense. But movie, I mean, it's more enjoyable seeing that.
Yes.
All right. Redder.
I love that one of the garbage men is a hippie, and the other one is like the opposite of a hippie.
They have the right to go through the garbage. It is public property once it's on the curb.
What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm helping.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you can tell everything you need to know. And I don't mean this as an insult, but the rainbow on the overalls that he's wearing for collecting garbage, it's a great hippie characterization for a garbage man.
Yeah, you could tell he was the more outgoing of the two.
Yeah. And it plays into the comedy. It's like, oh, please, finally, someone who's going to help. And then Rumsfeld just climbs into the trunk, the back of the garbage truck too. I think the comedy in that scene works really, really well.
No, I like the garbage men. I think they were a funny addition.
What is wrong with this fucking neighborhood?
Nice quote, word for word. Springs.
Oh, just a different point?
What else do you want to add to it?
I got nothing on the hippie garbage man. But let's see. I do think it's a little. It's a late humor thing, but I guess after the nightmare sequence that Ray is awoken to Mr. Rogers, I think that's a great 180 flip of tone. But
it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yes, but the tongue-in-cheek bit of it is that Tom Hanks later goes on to play Mr. Rogers in a biopic.
That's true.
That's very
This
true.
was set up for that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
this never happened.
Gotten that? Did you know?
Yeah, perfect.
Without Burbs, he would not have gotten that role. It was very important to the overall.
I don't know about that.
That'd be interesting if there was a Burbs reference in that, because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, but I do like the juxtaposition. It's the tongue in cheek of it is for me is of course because they're paranoid about their neighbors right now.
Yeah.
It had a good placement. Now, there's no definitive answer, but do you guys think it was red paint or blood on his glove?
I think it was red paint. It's too vibrant.
It has to be red paint because blood has a certain smell.
And they already found a femur bone, so the body's already bones.
Well, it could have been somebody from the grocery store. Who knows?
That is
because
they could be killing
with the
more
amount
than
of
the
skulls
naps.
they have. Yeah, with the amount of skulls, the naps either had a really big family or this has been a long running.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards this is a long running thing.
Oh yeah. So, I'm also leaning paint, mostly because character wise, I don't think the doctor's dumb enough to come up with a bloody hand. So, that's where I'm at with it.
He's certainly dumb enough to make certain assumptions later on. So,
well, yeah.
I think he would have heard the company that's upstairs. So he has no reason to walk upstairs with a bloody hand. Yeah. I do like that we cut away from it as a joke, though.
Mm-hmm. Springs.
Just a little continuity here, but when Vince gets the femur bone in his mouth and comes up to the chair and sits after the first throw that Art throws it, the bone is in the center of his mouth, but when he's sitting, it's more off to the right side.
Yeah,
Got to
I
dock
like
the
that.
Oscar-winning dog.
Yeah, the Oscar-winning dog. The femur bone, I can't tell if that was just a poorly made prop with that like
It is.
piece
It's
sticking out.
plastic. It's either
There's
plastic
like
or
a chunk.
styrofoam. The way Art has it in his hands and the sounds coming off of it as he's touching it is a prop. That is
Well,
not
I
hard
was less
bone.
thinking that, and more the sculpt of it looked poor. There's like a chunk sticking out the side of it that is not natural to the bone. I don't know what they did. It seemed
I don't
so
know.
easy to like stand it down. He was too busy making dog poop, I guess, to make a proper femur.
Does that really sell it as that's a one-of-a-kind femur?
Get what you're leaning towards. It does look like a one-of-a-kind femur to me.
Maybe the doctor likes to target, people with oddly growing bones. That's his
That's
MMO.
why I like to keep.
Oh, something's up with the naps.
Is that the spinoff?
Something's up with the naps. Maybe.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be in the
prequel.
They're gonna be in the Keke Palmer show.
Dude, it's a prequel. Turns out Keke Palmer's family, you don't find out till the very end that their last name is Naps.
Crazy.
I'm so lost.
That would be kind of interesting.
The Burbs spin-off show.
Yeah.
Well, it's a reboot.
It's something. All right, ready up.
All right. Probably one of my favorite lines in the film. Listen to your wife. Who listens to their wife? And I find it funny because all of this is the realization. This is what happens when Art's wife leaves him alone for long periods of time. He gets paranoid, gets stir crazy, and he's making sure everybody else gets stir crazy with him.
It really makes me want to see him and his wife, if he's still the same or if he's like this silent, beaten puppy who's on a leash all the time.
Oh.
No, I don't want to see silent beaten puppy, but I want to see like best behavior golden retriever, kinda,
Oh boy.
turn of the character.
Yes, dear.
I don't know if I want to see that.
Why do you say that?
I'll just like self-experience.
I see what you mean. Fair enough. Right. Is what just what Springs you up.
Crimson will let you know I got 2 more for the act.
Yeah, I don't have a lot for this act either, which is interesting because I did the acts in half-hour increments, so this theoretically is as filled as Act 1, but it definitely is not. So go ahead, Springs.
Okay. I find it a bit rude that neighbors invite themselves into your home.
Yeah, that was too much for me because she's supposed to be the rational, kind one. Like, oh, let's just greet the neighbors. Now let's break into the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
It was a little too extra.
That I will put as an issue. Like as the plot convenes, but it comes a bit from Carol. Like Carol's idea is to like, oh, we'll go over, invite ourselves in, and hopefully come in and have, some time to talk kind of thing. Like that's the whole plan. But just getting there and being like, oh, we're your neighbors, and walking into your home, that seemed different. I feel like more of a conversation of like, oh, we're here, we're just curious since we're at your home or in the neighborhood, like something like that. Is it all right if we come in, see the place, or like more of that? And something like Hans is like questioning, unsure, and then I don't know, Rumfield could be like, is your name Hans? And he goes, yes, and he goes, he said yes, and then they walk in that way or something like that.
I think that would work. I come in agreement. I have a nick here towards Carol because I'm not fully convinced that Carol is paranoid about them enough to want to do this. At least, to just straight up walk in. But I think everything else leading up to that was good setup. Like, this is a good plan on her part
Yes,
to get them into the house.
I agree with that. But just walking in, just
No, I agree. Not a fan. I guess I'll bring up the dream sequence. I almost, because we already talked about planes, trains, and automobiles, got similar vibes to the devil in the car seat. This is a lot longer, but
Yeah.
the level of absurdity kind of felt similar to me, where he's on a giant grill getting sacrificed by his friend in a ice cream outfit. That's pretty out there.
yeah. You're making me now think what this movie would have looked like if it was directed by John Hughes.
Probably not all that different. I feel like they do feel. It feels like his kind of movie.
It feels like he could write. If John Hughes had the script, I'll do that. If John Hughes wrote this, I think it would have been a better movie.
Probably with the less improv thrown in there. But Planes, Trains also had improv, as far as I recall.
Did.
Yeah. So who knows?
I believe
it would not be a carbon copy.
Oh shoot, I'm kind of blanking on the fact, but I believe we had or was brought up that Tom Hanks and John Travolta were supposed to be in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, but they went with Steve Martin and John Candy.
I definitely remember the John Travolta. I don't remember.
I think Tom Hanks was supposed to be Steve Martin's character.
Yeah.
Neil Page.
Interesting parallel. Writer.
I got a couple. I'll just kind of blast through them since we're coming to the end of the act here, apparently. I will. I do like that Carol is smart enough to not invite Art over to the whole neighborhood greet and meet, because at this point, obviously, she knows Art is the unreasonable, paranoid one. In quotes, he turns out to be completely justified. And I also like just the awkward silence and tension of Ruben staring at Ray, and they're sitting beside each other while they kind of just walk around the room and get to, like, they don't know how to deal with their neighbors, and the neighbors don't know how to deal with them because they don't really interact.
Oh yeah, and Ruben thought that Ray was the one that threatened him with the note.
Yeah.
So he just hates him.
Good job, Art.
Which gets me thinking, do you think they would have killed Ray at some point?
Probably.
Considering the end of the film, yeah, pretty sure that was going to be on the to-do list somehow.
Walter lived by himself and was older, being the neighbor on the right. I think Ray being the neighbor on the left would have been the next step for them.
Yeah, because Walter, I mean,
did they go into?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say the real question plays into: do you think the Kopecks would kill the kid?
Well, if they killed the Knapp family,
we don't know if the Knapps had kids.
Possibly had a kid. Yeah, it's like possibly. So possibly is my answer. They don't seem like they would be afraid of killing a kid.
I suppose.
What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what they're capable of.
They're capable of murder on a large scale. I know that much.
Yeah. But I don't know if they have lines that they cross. Like, that could be a funny line. Like, what if, like, one of the bones they find or a skull is, like, small? And then Ray's like, this is, like, the kid that they had. And it's like, oh my gosh. And the doctor's like, I would never kill a kid. And then Hans just goes, I would. Like, to like, answer that.
That would be pretty good.
I would see that. I guess my last one is, because this act, right, where they end up in Walter's house to kind of explore everything. That when they realize he's missing.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, yeah, it is.
Okay. This I have a couple questions regarding this specifically. Did the doctors help Walter with the stroke, and that's why he ended up in the hospital?
Walter called his daughter, right? Daughter
Okay.
and husband, and they came and got him to take him to the hospital.
Okay. So then the doctor actually did break in to try and kill Walter and ended up stealing the toupee instead. And the letters, apparently.
Well, I don't really know why they got the mail, because Walter was already gone by the time they went and got the mail. So I don't think he went in there to kill Walter, because Walter's already been gone.
Did they know that he was gone before then?
Don't know.
Yeah, that's a question mark,
Also,
I guess.
by the end of the movie, I wasn't fully known if they went and they were intended to try to kill Walter.
I wasn't sure either. The problem is this kind of snowballs into Art committing to like being paranoid with his boys because he finds the toupee. So it's convenient, lucky, plot holy. I would probably label it as a an issue that they happen to go in there, get all the mail and the toupee, and bring it back to their house.
Without
Seems like
explaining
needless
why,
stuff for the story.
yes.
Yeah. There
And it
needed to be an
happened to be-
explanation for it.
happened to be in within eyesight of Ray as well. It could have been upstairs in the kitchen. It could have been anywhere, but it
Yeah,
happened to be.
that's another isolated
him.
problem, is that Ray found it randomly, and at least in the first door that he went into after letting the dog out accidentally.
So yeah, there's convenience here, especially without them laying the groundwork of why they have the mail, why they went over there.
Yeah, I mean, what I thought had happened, because this kind of leads into the third act a little bit. What I thought was happening is I thought the doctor saved Walter's life, and therefore is just keeping his tabs on his mail and the toupee for him, because the toupee was left with the mail. That's where I was originally think this was going to end it up, before obviously they turned out to be serial killers. So, because I think that would explain why they have it, if Walter Tripp asked them to do that, or they were involved in saving his life because he's a doctor, etc., etc.
Yeah, the thing against that for me, other than that they're serial killers, is Walter's clearly scared of them. So he wouldn't ask them to watch his mail.
Yeah, like I said, the change for this is they save his life, and they're the only people that are around for him to ask.
But without all that groundwork, it doesn't really add up.
No, it wouldn't add up.
To me.
I feel like the Kopecks would be the last people to ask, hey, can you get my mail?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, no. I mean, I'm just saying it has to have the groundwork in order for that to work. But I'm saying that could be a reason as to why they would have it. But for now, we have nothing, and that's what creates an issue, because this is them having the mail and toupee pushes the third act in the film.
Yeah, and doesn't the detective or the FBI agent just explain it away to Art?
Yeah, he says that the Kopecks were keeping the mail for him, for what it was spit out. So
yeah, and that by itself doesn't make enough sense.
No,
but as an audience, we know that doesn't make any sense at all.
No, that doesn't make sense. But if it is to be used as the excuse of in-world events that happen, then I'll put that as a nick onto Walter's character to trust the Kopecks above any other person in the neighborhood.
Okay, so you're going like, if that's the case, but what are you actually going to be applying?
It's one of the two cases. I'm applying with that there was no reason behind the Kopecks having the mail.
Okay, that's where I'm also going to be applying it. Which is unfortunate because, like Ryder said, it does kind of push the third act in motion. That's like Ray definitively.
It does, but
we're going over there to see the bodies.
They try to excuse it away. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
And if one is to take that excuse of like, that's the answer, they say it in the movie, then to me that goes into damaging Walter.
If Walter said it, yeah, but we don't hear it through a Walter. We hear it through a cop who talked to the Kopecks.
But I know a couple times on this podcast we've had the thing where it's like, they say it in world, it said right there, it's not excused. Like, that is the answer that an official police, says to Art. Like,
yeah, it's just
from investigation.
Reliant on where he gets the information from.
Yeah.
If it's from the lying serial killer Kopecks, then it's not credible information.
That's also true.
And Sprinks, did you run out or did you have like one left?
I have one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. It is absurdist comedy, I think, but it is to the point of a cartoon. We are familiar with Looney Tunes, are we not?
I've
I
seen my fair
happen
share.
to be a fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the classic running off the cliff, running on air until you realize you're on air to fall. I believe they do that gag backwards. When Art is trying to get into the Kopecks' backyard, and he's standing on the fence to be handed a ladder, so he can use the ladder to climb down on their side into their backyard. At the point of handing the ladder, he's standing on air. He's standing on nothing.
I'm not picturing that. You mean we see him floating, or you
just... No, we see... So, he's a little lower than the fence line itself, so we don't see his feet. But from, like, his thighs up, or I guess his calves up, he's standing on the opposite side of the fence, already on the side of their backyard, of the Kopecks, and is then handed the ladder, and is told, be careful. And he's like, yeah, I can do that. And he puts the ladder down, turns around to get on the ladder, and falls off. And then when it goes to the side showing him getting off the ground in the backyard, the ladder's there, but the fence is just a fence. It's like 2-inch wide.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Beforehand of the ladder, he's just floating.
And you're leaning more towards absurdist comedy?
Yes.
To me, it kind of just feels like a continuity break of where he is in relation to the ladder and the fence.
But if he needed... I don't know. I think it's absurdist comedy.
You think it was absurdist comedy that went too far? Is that what you started this with?
No, I don't necessarily think it went too far because it's not like actually showing you he's floating and he's like, hurry up, I'm gonna fall. Like, it doesn't go that far of crazy, but where the fence is, it is hidden, but he is standing totally fine. He's not like balancing or like holding on to the fence for dear life because it's so thin that he's like, hand me the ladder fast. He's just standing calmly and says, give me the ladder. So I'm guessing he climbed the ladder, stands on air on the opposite side of the fence from the shot, so we don't see him standing on air, and says, hand me the ladder so I can climb back down on the other side.
Well, you've convinced me that I need to see the scene again.
Like, if it played out normally, I feel like
I'll have to watch the scene again.
If it played out normally, it feels like a Bugs Bunny thing, where, like, he comes across an invisible wall, climbs the ladder, stands on top of the invisible wall, picks up the ladder, puts it on the other side, and climbs down. But for that middle part, he's just standing on air.
Interesting. We see him stand on the ladder later. Not ladder, fence.
Yeah, I'm trying to get over it, and then he breaks over with his feet through it.
Yeah. All right. Writer, Act 2.
That is all I got for Act 2.
All right, then I guess we are proceeding into Act 3. So, post Bloody Glove to the end of the film. And I guess I will start this one. The cops are there. They exist. Isn't that pretty cool? We always bring that up. Or bring it on pretty often anyways.
Yeah.
And they do more presents.
More prevalent than Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith had a reason. Anyways, do you guys think... Yeah, I know. Do you guys think that they should have called the cops before all of this law breaking on their part? Is he within any of their
yeah.
In a
characters who have thought rationally
reasonable,
like that?
rational world, yes.
But in the context of the characters we have here, you don't think any of them would have done it at any point.
I think Ray would have been the only one if he did. But upon seeing the toupee after investigating inside the house, is now believing, okay, they are like murderers. They took Walter.
And
the femur was not playing along with Art. That is, came across to me as like, oh, Ray believes that is Walter.
Yeah. So Ray, as a character, do you think after holding his neighbor's femur in his head and his toupee and mail being in their house after him leaving it at Walter's house, would he have called the police before breaking and entering and going to the basement?
I think upon the toupee,
to get more evidence that he already had.
I think upon the toupee, a sane individual would. I think Ray is breaking, which is why he goes with this whole elaborate plan that feels like a bit to get the ball back in Sandlot to get into their house.
Yeah, I feel like, well, even this crosses lines for Art. I'm surprised Art doesn't make the suggestion.
To call the cops?
Or Rumsfeld. Yeah. Well, he's reluctant to actually break and enter.
It would.
So, like, there's a point where they're crossing the line.
Yeah,
So clearly Art has limits with what he's willing to do.
I don't see Art being smart enough to call the cops. I can see Rumsfeld saying, let's not, because, you know, they can't solve this or that. Or they just get in the way or something, like, you know, being
It's
the
something
military
that
man.
needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement that I don't think once Ray is over that fence and digging up graves, I don't think that Ray is capable of calling the cops. But I still think the Ray holding the toupee, standing with his boys, like, you know, that he's still on their side or whatever. I do think that this Ray still would call the cops, so I think it needs to be addressed. I'm not on the fully broken yet part until he's pretty much committed and over the fence.
Yeah, if they had a talk of after finding the toupee and mail, one of them bringing up needing to see the cops, and Rumfield talks about how useless the cops are and that they would need a warrant and probable cause, and they don't have that. Stuff like that. I think that would certainly be better. All right, let's go with Redder.
Alrighty. I quite like Ricky would know that their plan is to break into the house on some form or fashion, so he throws a party so he can get all his friends to watch. It very much leans credit that this is why he's always outside. He's finding excuses constantly just be outside and paint his house or do whatever just to watch the show. And I think that this really adds into it.
Yeah, he always does know what's going on, because when he was talking to his girlfriend about, I think it was Art and Rumfield going with the letter, he was describing the events to his girlfriend, of which, as far as I'm aware, he's not privy to know what they're doing, but he seems to know.
My guess is that Art probably let him know. Art's probably the one that told him.
Possibly.
Could be.
And something, I don't think there's any damage tied to it, but just interesting nonetheless, is they were at the Kopech's house for hours, presumably. They were there during the day, and then they were there till night. Art was in the backyard at night looking at the basement window and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, he was in the backyard for a while.
Yeah, so the timeline's a little interesting. I don't think it trips up on anything because of it, but it is just weird that they were there for hours, presumably in an awkward sitting position.
Inside the house, I can let it pass. Outside, Art just being in the backyard for all that time is questionable. Nitpick, you know? But that is a nitpick.
That is true. He seemed to have not achieved anything in all that time. Yeah. All right. Springs.
Art changing outfits was not needed, but I think it goes into the level of absurdity that he's in this full golf getup to sell to Carol that they're going golfing, to then change into a full electrician outfit to take out the power.
The former I can totally buy because it's helping lean credence to the story.
Now the question
they're
is,
spilling-
would he
yeah.
actually own that golf outfit?
Yes. If anyone in this neighborhood owns it, it's Art.
Maybe. Well, I mean, the lie would have to be based in some form of truth, right? So maybe maybe Art is a golfer.
He said he got a new
He
club.
just doesn't go with Art all the time.
Then Carol's like, you don't like golf. Which made me think, why couldn't he have come up with a lie that was more believable to Carol if he had to pick something she knew was out of character?
Is that what she said? Like, did you point out that he doesn't like golf?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he probably could have made a better lie. I think it still works with the context he gives. It's like, this is what you wanted me to do. You want me to try and have fun and not stay in the house. I'm gonna go golfing. I already ruined your week. I think that can work with the story he's trying to spin.
What do you think, Springs?
I think it passes. It gives enough of like something different that wasn't necessarily his idea to go with, just something to agree with. And with Rumfield and Art being the 2 over the 1 of him, of the total of the 3 together, it's enough, I think, to pass.
And once Art rolls up in the full golf outfit, I think that sells
Yeah, but
the
Carol's
rest of the
already
story.
backing out of the car to leave. Like, she's already believed enough of Ray's story that she didn't need convincing from
Yeah,
Art.
well, you could see that she's still a little bit skeptical, but I think this is like the final like proof of the lie thereabouts.
Yes, but to me, it plays more off onto the audience. Because Art didn't come to aid in that. She was already leaving. If Art was coming up while Ray's saying goodbye to the car, and she goes, all right, you two, you have fun, or whatever, and Art's like, all right, and then she leaves, that says more selling point to Carol, believing it.
Okay.
It really
All right,
has, to me, it plays off Ray did it all on his own for her to leave.
Yeah, I do think that's how that went.
So Art's getup was just for the audience. Even though in world it's designed that it was to be a selling point for Carol.
Well, I mean, he could have been the backup plan if she didn't go, or he showed up late, or she just agreed way too quickly before he even arrived.
True, all variables that could have happened.
Yeah.
But again, this isn't recorded as fully improv, go when you want to go. This was filmed and scheduled like a film. So,
Yeah. I will bring up where the heck the paramedics are. There was nobody at the ambulance that
good
got
question. I don't know.
taken. And once the ambulance left, the paramedics were like, hey, that's our ambulance. There was nothing. So we have cops, but the paramedics, oof,
We have cops and we have firefighters.
Yeah.
I guess it just should be said, plot armor for Ray.
Hans took him out.
Ray surviving an explosion. Yeah. I'd say Ray got
That's
some hot armor there.
It's definitely absurd,
yes.
but I think that's plot armor.
Yes.
They needed an explanation.
Plot armor.
I just managed to jump in the bathtub. I got in the fridge. Something like that. But,
Oh my god, it would still be better than Crystal
No.
Skull. He gets in the fridge and survives the
No.
explosion.
No.
nuke him. But as it is, even I think him surviving with no explanation does go into the element I brought up earlier of being a little too absurd for the scale that they have here.
I think percentage of survivability?
He was in the house.
He was.
It's not like he was at the door and he got blown out. He was in it. The concussive blast, of which this wouldn't have happened because there wasn't enough time for the gas to get through the house for this level of explosion.
Yes, but Anakin Skywalker, he burned alive and was missing limbs. He survived.
Yeah, but
That's true.
this isn't just a burning. This is
too.
His stomach got jellified. I mean, he was right at the epicenter of this, pretty much.
Yeah, it's
so
absurd.
If he survived, he'd be a charred man on the floor. He would not be walking anywhere. So it's too much for me. Though I do like his eye got damaged. He looks very beat up.
Oh yeah.
So I think they
did
good on that.
All that, yeah. But it really makes a playoff. Like, that's the big climax of this movie, is that the house blew up.
Yeah.
Which makes the twist like, oh wow, there was a twist.
Yeah. So I
would say the.
Go ahead, Randy.
I was gonna say, I think going off the rant that when Ray snaps at Art, I do find it to be particularly satisfying. I do feel the twist undercuts this a little bit. It just needs to be said that it does, objectively. But I think the twist is fine.
So
I don't like the twist, but
my question for both of you, since it's first time for both of you in its entirety, was: did you guys go full ride with it? Did you predict anything? Did you think they were killers the whole time, and then them flipping? Oh nope, they're just nice. We're the crazies, and then they're killers at the end as well. Did you take that full ride?
No. Not with what the movie conveys.
No. So at what point did you, I guess, hop off?
Well, I wasn't on board fully that they're killers to begin with. All I had was that there's a mystery of them acting differently than everyone else in this neighborhood, and something's up, which gave me the whole Edward Scissorhands feel. And that just played into a mystery of, okay, what makes them different? Why are they doing these things? Where's the answer to that? And then when the house exploded and all that, and they're just like, oh yeah, we're just people. There was no Ray asking, why were you digging in the backyard? What's with the furnace? That scene never happened. So even when the house exploded, I'm like, okay, they still need to answer what's the reason behind all these things. And then they do, with a twist of structurally to how a movie goes, that is why the twist got me, because I'm like, oh wow, this twist is in the last 8 minutes of the movie, not at the halfway point or something. So I guess it does help. It feels a little bit of a cop out to just be like, oh, the whole thing that they're pulling with you of Ray's perspective of everything going on is because they're killers and everything is like, oh yeah, surprise, they are. So that just answers everything you've seen. To explain into that, but I feel like this is one of those movies on a second rewatch now, knowing all the information, could come across very differently.
All right, yeah, possibly. And Ryder, what about you? Were you on the full ride?
I know what I wanted this film to do, but I was never fully off the page of the neighbors being killers, because I didn't think they'd have the balls to make Tom Hanks an antagonist. So I was never fully sold either way. I wanted the family to be completely weirdos and to be completely innocent. That's what I wanted of the film, but I was never 100% on board that they were going to go with that as a story. And so the once the film kept continuing after his like crawled onto the cot and everything, and he's pushed himself onto the gurney into the back of the ambulance, I knew at that point, okay, this is still going. This is I'm curious to see how they're going to end it, but there's still time for them to kind of run around to make the neighbors evil some way, shape, or form. So that's kind of where I was. Like I said, I had a preference. I know what I know what I would have preferred the film do, but I figured that they wouldn't do that.
All right. I don't really remember my first time. As I said, I was pretty young, but being young, I probably felt for everything. So that's my stance on it.
That's completely normal.
Writer point.
All right. Really weird that the serial killers with a car full of bodies and bones went to get the police. I find that funny.
It is funny. They had the perfect cover.
Yeah, it's a bit convenient how it turns out, because Ricky, I can't say I would never say Ricky's a removable character. He's definitely a side character, but he comes in clutch with finding all the bodies in the back of the car, because their trunk is just open, and I don't remember why.
Yeah.
The gurney hits the car and pops the trunk.
Yeah.
Oh, then yeah, that's just convenient.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down. It's convenient, because if that didn't happen, they wouldn't have figured out anything. Which is a little unfortunate. It wasn't more proactive. Wasn't Art screaming, "Hey, look! There could be something in the car. Who knows? I mean, come on, give it a chance, guys!" And then he like grabs a hammer or something and smashes it, and it pops up. I don't know.
True.
Art's crazy. Right, Springs.
I think Rumfield falling off the roof is a really good stunt job. That looked pretty darn well. Yes, there are multiple cuts in between, but
I agree. That was pretty well executed.
Yeah, I didn't see a stunt double or like oh, that's easily not the actor kind of thing.
I kind of wish the infrared came into play, because they had a scene explaining what it is. And I guess its main purpose is to show he's a military guy and he's got gadgets, but it never gets utilized. He has it on the roof with his gun, but we don't see a POV of it working or doing anything.
Yeah, it's just to look cool. Something someone probably had and just included in the movie, maybe.
Which made his gun look a bit unique.
Oh,
I suppose it
interesting.
Did, yeah. Writer.
I will jump to I wish there was more from Carol and character for most of the third act sequence when she's there, because she's just there sitting quietly listening to Ray get like indicted more or less with all the stuff that's against him. And I think it would have been better to have her either be angry or have her be comforting and supportive. I think I would have preferred either than what we got, which is just nothing.
I do think we got probably one of the worst options for that. It's a wasted opportunity.
Yeah. And I don't think it's comedic enough for it to be justified.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it earlier, but I don't think Sprink said much on this scene. What do you think about that?
Revisit it to me one more time. What was the scene that we're going on about?
The Carol's reaction to Ray.
Oh, in the ambulance?
being silent, and then that as well. It's kind of
No,
that whole ending bit with Carol.
yeah, no, it just plays into the chemistry thing, like just doing. I think Carrie Fisher just doing what she was given to do, and maybe be calm and collective, and like not to be frantic or like the opposite attract kind of couple, because that's what Ray is in a lot of scenes of Tom Hanks just being frantic. So it's like, don't copy him in doing that, even though a breaking point is like you blew up the neighbor's house, which would have been interesting of like, oh, they do relate in that way if she went off on him like he does. But just being very calm about the whole situation is a little off. But overall, I think it just plays into that romance between the two not being fully believable to me.
Thing that bugged me, and we touched on Rumfield falling off the roof. I did not like that he shot the gun. That was no trigger discipline. Why was his finger in the trigger hole?
I don't know. It was kind of funny.
It was funny,
Sure.
but again, it doesn't make sense for this character. You can have Art could have been the one to do that, and I probably would have found it funnier.
Yeah, but he's the military man, so the fact that happened doesn't really add up.
It's a comedy bit that damages the character.
Yeah. You could have shot the kids.
Could have shot towards the kids, yeah. That meant something. Shoot a hole through a beer can.
Yeah, then
I'm
they'd
also a little.
Yeah, what? Cool, man.
I'm also a little annoyed that Rumsfeld hadn't fallen off the roof at the point when the doctor and his family roll up in their car, see the furnaces on, and then reverse and back away. Rumsfeld hadn't fallen off the roof at that point, and he should have radioed that in.
Yes.
So I took some issue with that.
Yeah, he only saw
the re-entry.
The old guy. Oh yeah, and that. Yeah, I suppose that is something. I'd probably put that in an issue because it is relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't distracted with anything.
Yeah.
He hadn't fallen off the roof yet. This is a scene that you just have to edit in a little bit and have it in a little bit earlier or a little bit later. So like when Rumsfeld falls off, that's when this scene happens. So Rumsfeld can miss them while he's climbing back up to the roof.
Yeah. But as it is,
that would be my fix, because as it is, it's an issue.
Yeah. All right, Sprinks.
Again, with the absurdist comedy of how this movie goes and everything, Ricky looking at the camera and fourth wall breaking for a line, I think was fitting. They could do that.
I love this.
Yeah, God, I love this street.
Area. Yeah, I love this street. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I think it fits. Yeah, I guess I didn't even really consider it fourth wall, but I guess it is fourth wall.
He looks directly into the camera.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I don't have an objective issue with it.
Right. How are you guys looking?
I can probably squeeze out one more.
Ditto. I think I got one more.
All right, you're up.
Alrighty. I will just go into the doctor final, the reveal. Do you think I'm an idiot? It's funny because he is being an idiot. Again, this part was definitely comedic. He definitely gives when he just explains to Ray his evil plan, more or less, and what he's been doing. I don't know why they crash.
Ray was grabbing Hans or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
So it was. He was.
Was that what was happening?
Yeah, Ray was grabbing the shoulder of Hans, so he's kind of driving with one hand, and then the pizza delivery truck was arriving, which got him to swerve off the road.
Okay. And that's how they crash. Okay.
and crash into
I
Art's
thought
house.
he had both hands trying to prevent the syringe from going in. That's what I. Okay.
Yeah, right into Art's
And then
house.
yeah, right into Art's house. Wait, is it Art's house?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so the
'Cause they
ambulance is
go-
still there when the wife rolls up because
Yes,
I
because they
don't
go,
remember that.
Art, your wife's here and your house is on fire.
Okay. You're right. I didn't remember if that was their house specifically. Also, plot armor for Ray as well because the doctor decided to explain everything to him instead of just killing him.
yes, yeah. It's definitely a movie moment.
Yeah. And like a
Comedy plus
old
character Nick.
90s toy, the ambulance opening up for the spring-loaded gurney to shoot out.
that drove a
Yeah.
mile.
It started driving and was camera rigged so it turned on its own in the middle of the road.
Well, it's because the road isn't flat, so that was the natural curve of the street.
Oh, so when it hit the middle, it curved. Got it.
Yes. Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
It's physics.
I'll bring
Pure
up
physics.
that Art was saying that the news would do a live broadcast of them digging up the house. At which point I'm like, would they do that? There could be bodies shown there.
Crimson, for
It is
this
90s, they're less
for this
censored, but
world,
still.
for this world having 3 horror channels, I think it's okay.
Let's make the.
I mean, if
the
these are
news
the
channel
journalists that
horror
are
as well.
covering the Vietnam War, totally could buy it.
We aren't losing any American troops. We're winning. Okay, I guess fair enough. We don't know. Well, I mean, we're kind of in a bubble. We don't go outside of this street.
No.
I do think that's
When you
to
brought
the
up-
story's benefit.
Yeah, you brought up earlier, it's like the world building. I'm like, the world is the key word there.
Yeah, the street building,
Yeah, this neighborhood.
which they, on my fact finding, did toy with the concept of it being a little bit outside the street, of going to like the town and stuff, and then they decided that that would lessen the impact of the film, try to condense it to just the street, which I also think, like with Ryder, good choice. All right, Spence, you can go with your last point.
My last one is, and I guess it's kind of a piggyback, but Crimson, you brought up how there was no paramedics around when Ray gets into the ambulance. The doors to the ambulance still get shut by police, I believe, when Carol's like, okay, I'll meet you there. Meaning, I don't know if it's just the time of 1989, but it was fine to keep a victim, is not the word I'm looking for, a patient by themselves in the back of an ambulance.
Yeah, that's
I
where I'm limited to
assume the
movies and
police-
shows.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a movies and show problem.
I have no idea if in reality they do that or not.
Okay, because they usually just keep the doors open until they're leaving. So they put them in and close them. And the doctor did not work for the hospital. So it's not like, oh yeah, doctor, you're allowed to, go in. Like, there was no bit of that to happen.
No, they just have the ambulance now. Okay, I guess I'll go with my last point. Touched on it earlier, but Art dying in the shed. I think this is a breach of the comedy again. So, because we established this world is grounded to where people actually die. There's murders. Death is a thing. Getting shocked by a transformer like that from cutting it would fry you. You're donezo.
Yeah. But also, 5,000 degrees doesn't melt bones in this world.
Well, yeah, but I don't really see a direct correlation.
So I'm just saying, people in this world might be tougher than the normal world.
At least they're bones.
That's true.
But yeah, so that's. I guess my final point is just that was too absurd.
Too absurd. Even landing on all the stuff in the shed.
Well, I think he'd be dead by the time he touched the roof of the shed. That's just
It'd
tacked
stop his
on.
heart.
Yeah.
What if it stopped his heart, but then there was so much electricity that it started his heart back up again?
Yeah, maybe the thump of hitting the ground, like, jump-started his heart.
Yeah.
Like CPR, this thump in the chest.
Shoot. Was that... What was that? I don't know if we covered that on the pod. I can't remember if that was in... It came upon the Midnight Clear. Wasn't there something about someone being electrocuted like 14 times? Or struck by lightning?
It doesn't ring a bell, but it's possible.
Okay. Can't remember where that's from. Maybe writer, when you said Blues Brothers. Maybe it's a character in Blues Brothers. I don't know. I just feel like there's something where a character was like struck by lightning 14 times and they're still going. Crimson, is it someone in Something Wicked This Way Comes?
Oh. That actually, I think, is correct. Yeah. I think that is
Maybe that's where I'm getting it from. Sorry, not related at all, but...
No. But yeah, I think you are correct. I think that is that. Any other things that popped up before we move on to ratings?
Good question. Looking through my notes. Let me scroll through them. See if I have anything here.
I think I'm good. I covered all the points that I wanted to.
Last note I have that we didn't touch on is I think it's after the Jeopardy scene with Carol and Ray, but they have a box of like cereal called Freakies. I've never heard of Freakies before. I couldn't tell if that was a fake thing or that's a real cereal that existed.
I wrote that down.
Freakies, it came out every Friday on the 13th, but
I wrote down Freakies prop ? Because I feel like that's something they made specifically for the movie.
Maybe, but then that's
possible.
weird.
It's very, very possible.
Because they're showing other things in the world that are real. Like Mr. Rogers and... I mean, the pizza guy is just pizza. I don't think that's like an actual brand. The beer they're drinking? Is that a real beer?
La Consegna, la Digiorno.
All right, Freakies was a cereal.
It's a real cereal. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Before my time.
Of the times then, I guess.
Yep.
I guess the only thing I have left is something I sort of skipped over was Art being left out of the neighborhood, sneaking in, going in to welcome the neighbors. He decided to sneak in and snoop and spy on his own.
Yep, on brand.
I do like the nonchalant response that Carol has to it. Is like, oh, that's just Art. When everyone is wondering who, like, when even the
is that the Nothing
I forgot the family name. Yeah, I know. It's the end, and I forgot their family name. But yeah, the doctor, Hans, and
Kopecks.
Ruben, the Kopecks. I do like that they're actually concerned watching him run away, and Carol's just not. It's like, oh, that's just Art. It's fine.
Yeah.
That part to me was a little bit funny because I think Carrie Fisher's delivery was just like perfectly nonchalant and sarcastic.
Yeah. All right. Well, with all of that, let's jump into our summary rating section, starting with Springs.
Oh, I'm like, it could be you. You could choose yourself.
I could.
Okay, we'll go with me.
I'm the only one that chooses myself occasionally.
I'll go with my subjective first. Being a first time watch, and all I really knew of this movie was what I've heard from others of being like, not the greatest Tom Hanks movie, skippable, what a cheeseball fest film, stuff like that. And I went, okay. In my head, I'm like, it's going to be like a 4 out of 10 kind of thing. Like, you know, it's got some highlights maybe, but it's it's just kind of passable. I was a little surprised by this movie, and its comedy actually works for me because I do like absurdist humor in aspects when it works, and I think this fit for me. I found bits of this really funny, and the story was pretty good and enjoyable, and I wasn't fully bored, which will go in my objective area, but I have this at a nice 6.5. Where I could see this possibly going down on a rewatch now that I know kind of the twist and the whole mystery behind it. But I don't know. Might, settle to a 6, possibly. Objectively, and I feel like this is where I could get some slack or something back from this. I think the acting in this movie is middle of the road fine. I think everyone does a fine job. No one's a phenomenal actor. I think this is not Tom Hanks' best acting role. This is not Carrie Fisher's best acting. Corey Feldman, everyone else, I think they do a fine job. No one does a bad job, I think. Maybe Hans is the one who odd job, but I think the lighting in the movie is fine. A lot of natural outdoor lighting, at nighttime lighting, the inside the house lighting, like all the lighting I think is very good. Costume department I think is pretty good. Believable, just suburban clothes. I think the cinematography, fine. The one wild zoom in, zoom out shot for the absurd comedy is the only time the camera does that. That is wild to me, but it fits with the comedy of what the movie's going with. The zoom in, extreme close up on the eyes, use of the cinematography when they break into the Kopech's home and they have like the Dutch angles when they go into the basement. So all of that I think works pretty well with the cinematography overall. The writing of the dialogue, as Crimson pointed out, a lot of this was improv, so the writing is fine. I see like the overall like bone structure of what they want this movie from beginning to end to be, but the lines inside of it all I feel like could have been strengthened to be better written jokes or setups and payoffs, but it was a lot of more just like play acting between the actors of, you say your line, I'll yes and it kind of thing with the improv, and it passes. It's fine, but I definitely could see it as being stronger. I know I always forget something, but overall of what this movie is, and I think what it could have been. Oh, I guess the thing I hinted at before I even. The pacing. I do feel like there are bits of this pacing that are a little slow and boring, comparatively to the overarching of the movie. I feel like there's little bits that are like when the neighbors are like, "What are we going to do? What's the next step?" It's kind of a lull point, and it's not like a big like fanfare act that followed it to get to like this lull point. It's just a lull point until like a little more of the mystery gets played into it, kind of thing, and sprinkled about. So that's probably my biggest hit to this. Also, the editing is just fine. I think the editing is fine. Nothing like that was great and that was terrible. It's just middle of the road. So I've been kind of bouncing a little, but I think I put this at a 7.
Bouncing between 6.5 or 7.5?
A 7 to a 6.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's not a crazy rating that I was expecting you to throw out there. So that I was thinking like, oh my gosh, he's going to give it an 8. All right, 7. Okay.
I can see this movie being the reason it is like a cult classic kind of feel.
Yes, it definitely feels like a cult classic. So I will go next, starting with my subjective. Much like Sprinks, I enjoy the humor in this. I think the characters are quite fun and stand out and just bounce off each other very well, including the gosh darn it, the
Kopechs.
Kopechs.
Including
them.
Sorry, there's an L in there.
Yeah. I kind of would like if we had more of them, be honest. There wasn't too much of the screen time wise, so I would have preferred that. But other than that, I like the visuals. I like that it's like mostly nighttime stuff, and it's just pretty unique. I think I haven't seen too much stuff like this, so I have it at a 7, subjectively. Objectively, it is iffy on the comedy scale, as we discussed throughout. But I do think it steps outside its bounds. I think there's moments that break the world building, and in some moments the plot, like Art dying to electrocution. That's a plot relevance thing because he didn't end up dying. I think that is outside the bounds. But I brought that up throughout, so I'm not going to pick it too much. But that is a nick to me, is the comedy not sticking to it itself. Though I do think they did a good job with the tone of this film and sticking with the tone. The pacing, I can kind of see Sprinks' point, where kind of the middle area, like the dream sequence time and the planning, I could see being the slower parts. So I kind of agree with that. I think the acting is average to good, not good to great, but average to good. I think the set designs of the houses, they feel lived in. The Kopech's house feels eerie and creepy. The basement, I think all that's very well done. And the music and sound effects are spot on for
the music.
the tone. Yeah,
I knew forget something.
it's all spot on. I think the issues outside of the comedy would be Rumfield missing the Kopech's returning home. I think that's pretty big. The Kopech's digging in the backyard without explanation. The Kopech's taking the mail of the old man. I forgot, Wilbur or whatever. Start with W. Walter. Taking his mail without explanation to the audience. And the ambulance, paramedics not being present. There's just stuff like that kind of pulls down the writing aspect, if it's written, right? It's hard to tell which parts are, which parts aren't, but I would imagine those are mostly written elements because they connect scenes. So with that, I am giving it a 7 as well.
Oh wow!
Right.
All right. Well, I'll do my objective first because it's a 7, so I'll just get that right out of the gate, and I'll explain why.
Wow.
I think the plot is fine. Pacing is slow in parts, but it wasn't. I wasn't checking my watch. I think the world building being isolated here, the damages to the world building are largely questions that revolve around characters, such as the Kopechs. Why are they digging bodies outside? So the world building is tied to the neighborhood specifically, and everything surrounding about this monster house. They brought up the history of the previous serial killer that was caught, and that was being used as a foreshadowing for where the story might eventually lead. I think the characters all have some form of nicks to them for one reason or another, outside of maybe Rumsfeld, his wife, and Ricky. I think most of the characters walk away with a nick of some kind. For example, with the Kopechs, I'm not entirely. I mean, okay. The one world building aspect, actually, really quickly, is that I remember is broken. Is that they are never seen out of their house, but for some reason we see them outside of their house a bunch of times immediately after this is brought up. So I do view that as a bit of a world building violation, but it's not exactly. It doesn't break the film or anything. I do think there's a point where Ray's character would have called the cops. I think Ray's character eventually leaning into the absurdity and getting stir crazy is fine. The doctor just giving the game away is definitely plot armor for Ray. Ray has a lot of plot armor in this film, especially at least in the third act. Biggest issues I take with Carrie Fisher's character is doesn't they sacrifice too much for the sake of the comedy, I think, at the end, where she's being cold or whatever, and it's a wasted opportunity, but really this is a for someone who loves Ray enough to like separate him from Artie and Rumsfeld and like says, no, you can't go play with the boys today because you're like getting crazy. She's willing to do that, but not willing to do this. I do view that as a bit of a nick into the character. I view the art, it does a lot of dumb things. It's very in character for him, but I do think, obviously he's got plot armor when he survives getting shocked. And I think most of my nicks with art come in the form of his lack of self-awareness, which can be a thing that I think the film could focus on a little bit more, but it usually tends to focus on okay, here's an example. The moment that Ray decides to go into the house to look for bodies, he's kind of like backing down from wanting to do that. And I take certain issue with that because he's the person who spurred all this on. And this is, in a way, a parallel to what's happened earlier on in the film, which is them spurring each other just to walk up to the front door. The comedy, I think, is fine overall. I think it works most of the time. My issues with it is its consistency within the world, because there's plenty of absurdist comedy, and I just don't think that tone of it's consistent the entire time. So I'm also at a 7. I don't think this film does anything egregiously wrong. I didn't walk away thinking any character was assassinated or the world building was, fucked to hell, or the plot was broken. I do think everything is passable. Subjectively, though, I had the opposite experience of Sprinks. I was going in expecting a 7. I walked out with a 3. Did not enjoy the movie.
Now that I find believable.
I don't. 3's huge.
The objective 7. That'll probably come back as a surprise rating to me, that we all give it a 7 objectively. But the subjective 3, I can see that for a writer.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it. Again, it might be the ad-libbing. I'm not a huge fan of... I like ad-libbing when it's done well. I don't think it was done particularly well here, and that might lend into why I didn't have very much fun with this film. My high points for me are I can think of maybe 3 times that I can think of twice where I laughed in this film, and maybe another time where I smirked. And that's not great in terms of enjoyment for me.
For a comedy standpoint.
From a comedy standpoint, yeah. I'm not a... To be perfectly blunt, Art got on my nerves. I don't really like Art's character at all. It's the same... When I compare him to Del Griffith, I say they come from the same cloth, but I do think Del Griffith is a far better executed version of this archetype. Because at least with Del Griffith, I see the heart that's there. I don't see anything but the paranoia from Art. And it bothers me the wedge he tries to drive between Ray and Carol. And I don't like that he's consistently just like pushing his best friend into being more stressful. I don't find that particularly funny. I find that as grating and annoying. So that's really what I think hurt the film's enjoyment for me, because art's a large part of this movie. So I'm at a 3 subjectively. I have no plans to watch this again. I ain't gonna recommend it to anybody.
That makes sense to me that Dell was written by John Hughes and art was only half written. So
Yeah. It's an archetype you really have to nail for me to enjoy what you're doing.
All right, well, anything else before Ryder takes us out?
yes, actually, I got 2 things. One is a fact I looked up just out of curiosity. So Joe Dante directed this movie, and oh shoot, what was his name? Dick, the Garbage Man.
Yeah, I already deleted that tab. But take something.
Dick something. Yeah. The director has also directed Looney Tunes Back in Action, that has the Garbage Man. He directed Small Soldiers, that has the Garbage Man. He also directed Gremlins, which has the Garbage Man.
I think they might be friends.
Wow.
I think they might be friends. And I went, oh, that's interesting. So, just to put that in there. The other thing I had that I was questioning earlier for you, Crimson, from IMDb, that I don't know how true this full list is, but what is classified here is that The Burbs is Tom Hanks' 14th film.
All right. That's a lot.
Yes, and
I wouldn't-
Big,
I wouldn't have thought.
which we have covered on the podcast before, was his 12th.
Well, that lines up with the facts, but I don't know what what was the 13th.
Turner and Hooch supposedly came out also in 1989.
Interesting.
And for those curious, League of Their Own was 18th, which is another one we've covered.
Oh, I forgot about that. Man, Tom Hanks.
He gets around, Tom
Yeah.
Hanks.
He does.
But just in case those are curious. What kind of shocks me is Splash, which I brought up before, which was 1984. That was his 4th movie.
Man, the half of the 80s was very busy for him.
There were 10 movies between Burbs and Splash in 5 years.
Man was working.
Yeah. But that's all I got to add in. So
And I'm good to go.
Alrighty, thank you, audience, for listening, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Castbox, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, and Samsung. And you happen to be on our visual side of things, YouTube or Rumble. Thank you for watching our PNG slideshow there. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe everywhere. Tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you love them. And as always, I've been a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
and I'm Sprinks.
And we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.